Welcome back to the GTN show, and the big news this week, Andrew Messick, the CEO of Ironman, has stepped down.
Yeah, we also have some wacky new world records for the beer mile and running with a buggy.
Yeah, we've also got a woman winning one of the toughest ultra running races, plus a climate relay, which I joined for a small segment.
Yeah, and as he approaches his final week, we're going to be checking in with Sean Conway in his Iron 102 attempt. Come on, Sean, you're so close now. All right, kicking off with Reacts, as we normally do. This one has really caught the headlines, and it's a really cool one. So Jan van Berkel is rounding out his career as a pro triathlete. He has had many successful years, and to do that, he has done his home race in Switzerland, Ironman Switzerland, and his final race, which he's won 3 times before, and amazingly, he managed to make it a 4th win there. But what made it even better is that he had a huge support team, his family, friends, even Daniel Arif there supporting and cheering him on.
Yeah, wearing his merchandise of his kind of celebration, which is just really cool to see pros supporting each other.
Well, yeah, I guess they go a long way back, having raced short course together and living in Switzerland for a long time, probably doing a lot of training together. So yeah, just really cool, isn't it?
Yeah, very cool. Moving on to an athlete who's still very much got several races left in him. Patrick Langer is teasing us with his next race move. He says, unplanned adventure ahead in capitals. Just when you thought the thrill of racing couldn't get any better, I've decided to sign up for another race after the incredible experience at Roth. Couldn't resist diving into another cult race as part of my lead up to Nice. Wow, he's left us guessing, hasn't he? What's he calling a cult race?
I can't imagine he'd do another full iron distance ahead of. I mean, he's not that sort of athlete, it seems to do.
Yeah, you don't see him racing.
So I imagine it'd be a shorter one. So I was thinking something like Alpe d'Huez. But then maybe he'll just do something closer to home, perhaps in Germany. And there is the Algu or Algarve. Yeah. I don't know how you say it.
I mean, there might be a cult race for them. I mean,
yeah,
I believe
it is quite a big, historic and notable race there. So yeah, maybe it's that one.
Yeah, well, we'll keep our eyes peeled, or if anyone has the know, let us know. We have we mentioned earlier in the intro, a new buggy world record. Now, this is a world record for running a mile whilst pushing a buggy with a legitimate child in. I don't know if it has to be your own child. I guess it does. Never really. I mean, we could borrow someone's child and give it a go.
I mean, James has got a few that
you
could share around. Some are heavier than others. Maybe we'll give James Jack his eldest, and we'll push the lighter ones. But yeah.
Yeah, but on a serious note, it's Neely Gracie who has just broken the women's buggy mile world record with a time of 5:24.17, pushing her 2-year-old around. Now, they apparently broke the record by, I think, 33 seconds. So, smashed it, in fact. The men's record is waiting to be ratified, and that currently is a 4:32. So some fast running with your hands literally kind of tied to a buggy.
Around the track. Anyway, very impressive. Also, Sam Laidlow has put up a post since his performance at Challenge Roth, where we saw him, phenomenal performance, then sort of pulling up on the run. He said, yeah, so basically, I'm just going to try and ride at the front until Magnus rips my legs off. Turns out the pain was real in Challenge Roth, and Magnus really did rip my legs off. I tore the muscle in my calf at the 10-kilometre mark of the marathon. He goes on to say he knew something was wrong, but yeah, hoping he can repair and get back for the second half of the season. So yeah, that's not.
I mean, that's to then run another 30 odd K, the extra damage you're doing on that. But I wonder if he had demons after Lanzarote and just kind of like, I don't want to be labelled as not finishing, and yeah, that could have been an expensive one. But fingers crossed for his recovery. Back to Daniela actually with this post. She's kind of gone into quite an in-depth post explaining how she managed to basically ride so fast at Roscoe. I think a lot of people were just asking her, how on earth did you cycle so fast? So she's gone into a bit of detail of just the sort of various attentions to detail that she's covered. And
she rode a 4:22 people have had their head under a rock, which is obviously very fast over that course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so no wonder people were asking, weren't they? So she's basically gone into detail, said next to training consistently and at altitude, which are obviously two major factors, it's taken a huge team to get her where she is. So she went with a bike fit in Germany last November, actually raising the angle of the cockpit, which you guys, if you've studied Danielle's position, lots of people were commenting on that, ready for her winter training. So then she trained in that position. She did a lot of hours indoors on that position. Then she visited the Swiss side 3 times to actually perfect her base bar and that new cockpit. So, I mean, 3 times, you just don't realise that pros put that much effort in, do you? And she also had her suit company, Q365, coming to visit her to make sure that not just the aerodynamic, which is what we talk about a lot, but actually comfort as well, because if you are spending, even if it's only 4 hours 22 for Daniela, you've got to be comfortable so that you can obviously work at such a rate. So I just thought it was quite interesting that she shared all that. I know it's a bit of a shout to our sponsors, but a nice insight too.
Yeah, exactly. And off the back of that performance at Challenge Roth, we thought this was quite fun. PT have updated her profile with a picture of a goat for her profile pic.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant that they don't take themselves too seriously.
Also, I was sent in this actually over Instagram from Kuma Duraz. Sorry if I pronounced that badly. Doing an epic triathlon, essentially up to the summit of Mont Blanc. So they swam across Lake Annecy, and then they rode from Dussard to Saint-Gervais, and then they ran to the very summit of Mont Blanc. I don't know the actual time he took. Was it 24 hours, around 24 hours? But yeah, I mean, he literally goes through the night to the next morning. And the final of Mont Blanc is basically climbing in the snow and
full on hardcore climbing.
Absolutely impressive. And then he says the final leg of the journey was that he had to be at work in Paris 48 hours later. So very impressive.
Yeah. You can sit, have your morning coffee next to your colleagues and be like, yeah, how was your weekend? Yeah, fun, thanks, yeah.
Top of Mont Blanc the other day.
Yeah. This one caught my eye, just a local triathlon called the Outlaw Half over in Holcombe, which is in the east of England. But it caught my eye because there was quite a sort of last-minute relay team that got put together. I don't know how it came about, but I saw this on a couple of the athletes' posts. So Ruth Arstal was the cyclist. We had Indy Lee as the swimmer, 2 names which you probably know well within the world of long-distance triathlon. But then they roped in Steph Davis, who is a pure runner. She's actually an Olympian and runs a 2:27 marathon, and they got her in for the run leg. So I think it's fair to say that they probably won quite comfortably.
Very impressive. We also had a race across America going on at the moment, and we've had the first solo athlete coming in, and it was a female athlete who won the solo event overall. That was Isa Pulver in a time of 9 days. 9 days, 12 hours and 16 minutes. But yeah, just absolutely phenomenal.
Yes, beating the men. Incredible stuff. We've got something a bit more lighthearted and on the more sprint side of things, the beer mile, Mark's speciality here. It's just gone back to the United States. So they have, it's kind of, they almost call it the World Championships, the beer mile World Classic. And it did attract some very fast runners. There's a new world record, but actually, just explain this one, it's not the women's winner, because the women's race was won by Elizabeth Lasseter in a time of 6:03.75. But there was a new world record set separately by an athlete who wasn't allowed to compete in the women's race due to a doping violation in the past. So Shelby Houlihan actually competed in the Legends race, and she broke the 6-minute barrier for the first time for the women's beer mile in a time of 5:43.81, so absolutely smashed it.
They said that's roughly 1 minute 18 of total drinking time, and then roughly running a 4:25 mile.
Roughly. With a few bits, a few
I can tell you, I've done a few beer miles in my time, and that's very.
What's your quickest,
impressive.
by the way?
I don't actually know, because we've done it in very kind of unorthodox courses through trees and all sorts. So I'm not even sure it's quite a mile, maybe longer, maybe shorter. But I have
time to revisit it.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't we?
Yeah,
I'd love to. And then also we have Sean Conway on his Iron 102 attempt. He has completed day 91 when we're filming this, but at the time of filming, he's on day 92. 92. By the time you're watching this, he'll be on day 94.
If you're not confused, he's flying
but
through
he's
it.
absolutely smashing it. I mean, even just yesterday, he completed at a time of 13 hours, 31 minutes. We are hoping to actually catch up with him on his final day, on day 102. So he has just over a week left to go. And it's just absolutely crushing it. I'm so impressed, actually. I mean, if you remember the Iron Cowboy doing this back, and he just looked in bits, but no discredit to him, but Sean just looks so composed each day. I'm sure he's struggling. But
think how many people would love to do a 13.5-hour Ironman just once in their life.
Yeah.
Insane. Well, yeah, so close. Good luck with these final few days, Sean. Can't imagine how you must be feeling. Moving on, last week, the climate relay, also known as the relay of running out of time, which has been going from Ben Nevis in Scotland, and it's making its way to Big Ben in Westminster, covering 2,661 kilometres, came through Bath, which is where the GTN Mega Base is based. And I thought it'd be rude not to join in. Basically, this is a baton that's being carried by human power, mostly running on foot throughout the country, to try and raise awareness of the fact that we need to do something about our environment and look after it for the future generations. And I thought I would jog on down and join for a little bit just to see what it's about, why people are taking part, and just learn a little bit about it. And it's quite impressive. It's covering 366 stages. It actually will have ended by the time this goes out. It will have ended yesterday, covering 50 cities, going to different community projects, different primary schools. It actually popped into one of the primary schools in Bath, and the kids were very excited. So they've been learning about it, and it's just a really fun thing getting everybody in the community involved. The day that I did it, apparently they'd already had a bit of supping and kayaking. It was then getting passed on to a cyclist. Damien Hall, who's one of the very well-known ultra runners, was taking a leg of it. So basically it's making its way via human power to the city, and hope for the fact that the Parliament and people will take notice of that. We need to do something about our environment.
Well, now for the Tri news, and big bit of news this past week is that Andrew Messick has announced that he will be retiring after 12 years as president and CEO of the Ironman Group. Now, appreciate there's a lot of mixed feelings and emotions towards Ironman of late, but before we jump into all the negativity, let's actually take a look back on Messick's career at the Ironman Group and what he's done over the past 12 years.
Yeah, I mean, there's no denying that Ironman itself has sort of helped triathlon to become what it is today. And even before Messick had joined the group, it had already gone from purely just a race licensing event or a company just having one event to becoming a production company, and not just licensing one or two a year, but actually producing events from scratch all around the world. And this undoubtedly saw a big upsurge in triathlon, and it's kind of given us the sport within reason that we see today as a whole, not just in Ironman.
And then in 2011, Messick stepped in and continued this business plan, the growth of new events, acquisition of races, and pulling upon his past experiences of leading the very successful and high-profile US-based pro cycling event, the Tour of California. During his time at Ironman, he actually helped and was behind the global expansion of Ironman into 30 new countries. And in fact, the participation in Ironman races increased from 52,000 athletes to over 95,000 athletes, and in Ironman 70.3 races saw an increase from 85,000 athletes to over 200,000 athletes.
Yeah. That sounds crazy, but when you think about the amount of races, so apparently there are over 40 full Ironman distance races around the world. I mean, I thought there was even more than that, to be honest, but it's 70.3 that makes up the huge bulk. So there's over 110 races of those throughout the world. They've also got their Rock and Roll Marathon series, and then Ironman in the more recent years have acquired the Cape Epic, which is this massive mountain biking multi-day race in South Africa, as well as UTMB Ultra Trail Mont Blanc trail running series. So they've kind of expanded outside of triathlon quite significantly.
Yeah, and in short, Messick has basically completed this transformation of the Ironman Group from being simply this licensing company to the largest producer worldwide of these ultra endurance events. But, and there is a big but, he hasn't been particularly well liked by everyone, and that kind of feels like it's coming to a bit of a head as of late. There is the race entry fees. Yeah,
there's the predatory way that they kind of take over competitor races.
Yeah, and the community sort of lacking and kind of falling apart with that.
And I know during COVID there were a lot of upset athletes who lost money from not getting refunds or having big delays, so that was a big controversy there.
Yeah, and then in the pro field, there's just simply that lack of support or prize money for the quality and calibre of athlete that they have competing at their events.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a long, ongoing one, hasn't it? And then I think recently it's bubbled a bit more to the surface after the World Champs last year when they had the split day, which cost people more and obviously caused a little bit of upset in Kona. And then now that's led to the split location World Champs, which we've spoken about lots on the channel here before, so we're not going to go into detail, but that's obviously just kind of caused a few more people to just be upset with the way it was dealt with, I think, as a big part of it. So there are a lot of questions surrounding Andrew Messick's departure and exactly why. You know, we are just, talking about the rumours at the moment and no one really knows, and I don't think we ever will find out. However, he's not leaving entirely. He is going to stay on the board of directors and he's going to stay, I think, in position until they actually find a replacement.
Yeah, new CEO. Heather for CEO. What do you reckon? Get involved in the comment section down below if you want to vote for Heather, and we'll put a petition
or any
forward.
better suggestions, let us know.
Well, moving on from that, and we thought we'd check in with some mid-season rankings amongst the pros. So we have both the Challenge Family rankings and also the PTO rankings, which are notable because there also is quite a sizable prize purse for both for the athletes. So for the Challenge Family rankings, there is a $125K US dollar prize purse at the end, which is split amongst the top 5 men and female. The winners taking 25K, second 16.5, 12K, 6K, 3K. So on the men's side, we have Tom Bishop taking the top of the rank there. And then on the women's side, it's Lucy Byram. So yeah, it's quite a big incentive to kind of keep that there, hold it out. And I understand that Lucy has really committed to the challenge races and she's going after that, whereas a lot of the others are kind of dipping between.
Yeah. Well, I mean, interesting. You see the likes of Magnus Ditlev down in 4th, and you've got Daniela Rief also equal 4th with Grace Tech, and Anne Haug equal in 2nd at the moment. But they're obviously, with the World Champs coming up, you'd imagine challenge might be less of a priority for those guys, so it gives them an opportunity for some others. Talking of rankings, so the PTO obviously update their rankings every week after every race. But we just thought after Roth, there's quite a big race and obviously a huge amount of points dedicated to that it was nice to revisit this one. And just to remind you, they actually have a $2 million pot, which they divide between the top 50, but a huge weighting going to the top athletes. So it's something that I think the athletes will be keeping an eye on all the time, because whatever races they're doing, it counts towards it. And on the women's side, Ashley Gentle still sits at the top. She's been there for a little while now, but there's been some movers underneath that. So Anne Haug has leapfrogged Lucy Charles Barkley, so into 2nd, putting Lucy down into 3rd. But Daniela Rief actually was down in 11th before Challenge Roth, which I think a few people might have been surprised at, but I guess she's just not done enough. It's the top 3 races within that year of your score. So she's leapt up to 4th place. That's probably the biggest mover on the women's side. And then the men, actually the top 6 haven't changed at all since Roth, which was surprising. But Ben Canute did move from 10th up to 7th, and Patrick Lang has moved from 13th up to 8th, which are probably the most significant movers. But it's Christian Blumenfeld at the top and Gustav Eden sitting in 2nd at the moment. But I'm not sure which race is going to drop off for them, and if they'll see themselves moving with obviously their Paris campaign going on at the moment.
Yeah, well, also this week we had Badwater 135, often billed as the toughest foot race in the world. It's a 130-mile course starting at 282 feet below sea level in the Badwater Basin in Death Valley, and then ending at an elevation of 8,360 feet at Whitney Portal, the trailhead to Mount Whitney. The runners set off on Tuesday the 4th, and they essentially have a 48-hour time limit to finish that 135-mile course. And not only did a female take the win overall, they had the 2nd fastest time ever in history. So it was Ashley Poulsen. She crossed the Badwater 135 finish line in a time of 21 hours, 44 minutes and 35 seconds. And behind her came the second man, which was Simon Holvik from Norway. And then in 3rd was the overall winner of last year's event, which was Yoshihiko Ishikawa, who did that in a time of 23 hours, 52. So she was quite a way ahead of the rest of them. Yeah,
and significantly only the 2nd woman ever to win overall. So that was actually last done by Pam Reed in 2002 and 2003, but no woman has won it for 20 years. So, yeah. I mean, that's quite incredible.
However, and there's a bit of a however here, we did actually feature her last year where I think she placed 3rd. There was a bit of scepticism and controversy around her result because there is some talk of her, well, she has a previously failed a drugs test when she was a triathlete, and there is some talk of her potentially having cheated on courses, having skipped parts of the course. Not saying that she has necessarily done this time, but obviously it's sometimes maybe want to look at results like that with an asterisk, and it definitely was the case last year. But hopefully, and I really am hoping this was a genuine result, and it's very impressive as it stands.
Yeah. On to race results, and this week is actually a short one. There was not that much racing, and we've already talked about the big one. It was Ironman Switzerland, which was only a pro race for the men, and that was won by Jan van Berkel in his kind of final year, so an impressive performance, beating Leonard Arnold by 2 minutes. And then third place was Andreas Salversberg, making it a 1-3 for Switzerland in their home Swiss race.
Very cool. And the only other event that we have come across, so forgive us if we have missed any big ones, was Otterlo Engadin, which is an event that I've always wanted to do. It's absolutely stunning. The men's team was Team Arc, which was Matthew and Thomas that took the win. Women's was Team Envol, Desiree and Sabina, and the mixed team that took the win was Team X Endurance from Switzerland.
Yeah, it's one of the iconic races, isn't it? I gather it was quite cold as well in the swim. But obviously, to make up for this very quiet race news week, this week there's going to be a lot of racing, and next week we've got Ironman 70.3 Swansea, 70.3 Ecuador, Ironman Victoria, which is a women's pro race.
And then the following week, so not actually this coming weekend, we have Ironman Lake Placid, which will be the last qualifying attempt for the men for the Ironman World Championships for the likes of Alistair Brownlee, who still is yet to qualify should he go and do Lake Placid, which I hope he does. And there are actually a few other notable names that haven't yet qualified, like Josh Amberger, Andreas Drijks, Ben Hoffman, Matt Russell, and many, many more. So that is their last attempt. But if they do all try and do it, that's going to be exciting race to watch.
So pretty soon we're going to know the start list then for Worlds in only a few weeks' time. Cool. Okay, it's time to take a look at your photos and videos that you guys have sent in. And this month we are doing broken selfies or finisher pitch. And I think we need to just clarify a little bit here. When we say broken, we don't mean you to be physically broken necessarily. So we don't want broken bones in the pictures. Hopefully you guys are not getting too many broken bones anyway. But we mean just that feeling when you're absolutely giving it everything and you cross the line and you have nothing left. You are more emotionally broken.
That said, if they're quite impressive breakages, then send
I don't
them
want to
in.
see those. Mark can filter those ones for us. But we have actually had some wonderful pictures and stories sent in. So I think we should crack on. But obviously, if you guys have one, you can send it in using the uploader, which is on screen now, but also in that description below. This first one comes from Clement in, oh my goodness, Ljubljana.
Nice.
Slovenia.
I would have probably just gone straight for Slovenia.
Yeah, let's just pretend that didn't happen and let's go for Slovenia. From Clement, thanks Clement. Says a 10k race in, Jesenice. Paced myself entirely on RPE. Haven't checked my watch during the race once. Well done. Paced to perfection. Apparently evenly splitted the whole way through. Although felt like I was going to die in the last kilometre and barely made it to the finish line. But you did make it to the finish line, and apparently the paparazzi were quick to take the photo.
Next one from Kerry, and this one's a bit of a throwback actually. It's a Taupo 70.3 in 2020, and this is the most broken they've ever been during and at the end of a race. So in T1, they slipped while standing on one leg of the wetsuit to pull it off and fell straight forward onto the bike cockpit, hitting their head hard. Immediately got a lump on their forehead, but they shook themselves, squashed the bump flat with the helmet and got going, telling themselves that they wouldn't stop, and even if they felt dizzy. Had a cup of Panadol in the bento box, and I took them halfway through the bike and told myself I could keep going. When I got to T2, also realised I must have sprained my ankle at the same time, so I then had to limp my way through the run. Not my best performance, but still just under 5 hours.
That's
very impressive. Yeah. A lot of people would be very chuffed with 5 hours under anyway for 70.3. When I got to the recovery tent, a friend in there grabbed me and said, "What happened?" And you can see from the photos, you would, wouldn't you? If you saw someone coming in with a black eye and a massive ankle. Anyway.
Yeah, that one definitely counts as broken. This one from Matt from Ironman 70.3 Happy Valley, Pennsylvania, said, submitting the post-race broken photo. Oh gosh, I was hit by a car on a training ride exactly 1 month before this race, back in July 2023. Oh, so it just happened by the sounds of it. Apparently has a background in sports medicine, able to heal well enough to compete. And then after fighting off bilateral quad cramps for the last 6 miles of the run, the humidity I wasn't used to, I managed to finish 165th out of 2,100 people. I'm pretty happy with my performance considering setbacks over the last few weeks. But now I feel like I got hit by a car. At least they've still got that sense of humour.
This next one's from Melinda, and this again is kind of a bit of a throwback or a comparison to their first 70.3 in 2022, Western Sydney, and then to a more recent 70.3 in Cairns, 2023. So in 2022, they did their first long distance triathlon and were absolutely broken when they crossed the line. Fast forward to 2023, they got themselves a coach, trained as consistently as they could. They said in brackets, because, life gets busy sometimes. Worked on nutrition and had a blast. Cannot wait for the next one. And yeah, it's quite a contrast between both years with your facial expression as you come across the line.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? That lovely smile. Now we have Scott from Penticton in Canada, from the Ironman there, says, breaking 10 hours, aged me by about 10 years. Oh dear. Missed Kona by 15 minutes, which is frustrating, but then there's obviously a nice silver lining here because apparently snuck in the back door to the world champs in Nice. And yeah, using the sign there to prop himself up, I think, at the end of that race.
Yeah. And final one, stay with us guys, but this is a really cool one. This is from Gerardo. He's from Colombia, but has actually recently moved to the UK, and he said, hey guys, hope you're all good. I remember watching the video Norseman Extreme Triathlon for the first time a couple of years ago and thinking, holy cow, that is epic. Didn't actually say cow, but use your imagination. Since then, I've been a huge fan of the channel. As a Colombian who recently moved to the UK, it's been a great way for me to learn about all the sports and try some of the things that you guys do. And he's basically been watching our videos and just doing some of our crazy and epic challenges, like me and James riding from Bath to London, and he basically retraced that ride. He even stopped at the same places we did and had a beer at the pub just around the corner. And yeah, he's gone on to do many other really cool things. So yeah, and he's there sporting our GTN caps and t-shirt.
I would say good luck, Rally, if you're going to carry on following our crazy challenges, because it feels like they're coming thick and fast at the moment. Let us know how you get on with those. Yeah,
well, thanks ever so much for sending them all in. Please do keep them coming using that photo upload link on screen right now or in the description just down below. Say what? Thanks, Heather. I love it when we do that. Right, first one. This is actually a comment that's gone under one of our swimming videos about open water skills that you can perform in the swimming pool. This one's been directed at me. Greg Vandell said, another great video, thanks. But what caught my eye more than anything was the big gash on your leg at 7 minutes. What happened? Cycling injury. Is that what kept you out of the Tour de France this year? It is, sadly. I did get a couple of call-ups this year. Yet again, I was busy last year. I had my mum's birthday, and then this year, gash on my leg.
Little gash, yeah. I mean,
so yeah, it was actually a swim run incident. My pool boy rubbed a hole in my leg, as it does. Ooh. So yeah.
It's kind of that people are asking there, isn't it?
Yeah, thanks for caring.
I noticed this one on last week's show, but it's actually about the Ironman World Champs in Nice, and says, excited to hear about Nice. I've basically done Ironman Nice, I think, 2 different occasions. I've sprinted the Promenade Anglais to get from, respectively, the train station and ferry terminal to the airport. It's a good 5 miles along that bay. With a suitcase and backpack, like a pro. I win at travel. And that was from Peach X Blue.
Wow.
Good work, Peach X Blue.
You must have been a sweaty mess on that.
Yeah, getting on that flight.
Next one comes from Christian B. This is under our Roth Transition Tour. He said, a few weeks back, I had a chat with the referee whilst a friend had a race. He told me that one of the strangest things he had ever seen was several mini salami sausages. So I imagine like those pepperami things attached to the frame. The athlete told him that it really helps him during the race. He said, okay, this isn't about customization, but I believe that it still fits in here. We were actually talking about weird things you attach to the top tube of frames. I've never seen salami on the top tube of a bike before.
That is, quite unique. Well, we do love to read your comments on all of our videos, so keep commenting, guys. That does bring this show to an end, but talking about Ironman Nice, there's quite a debate about whether you want to ride a time trial bike or a road bike, and I mean the World Championships in Ironman Nice, sorry. And it's still open for debate, but James has been out there and done a bit of a comparison, so keep an eye out for that video coming very soon.
I would say it's a lot closer than you'd expect. Yeah, a lot closer. Also, do check out the duathlon run experiment Heather and myself performed, looking at the effects of running off a bike and how it affected our gait and various other metrics. It really was quite interesting. And if you have enjoyed today's show, please do get a thumbs up, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe.